All right, and so in today's video, Democrats are losing it because Tennessee has become the latest state to redistrict. And so, yeah, Democrats are pissed. So much so that they were protesting, causing chaos, and you even had some who needed to be removed during these proceedings by law enforcement officers. And so all of this, of course, is because Democrats can no longer depend on districts that were drawn based on race while pretending they were doing it all to benefit black people. And so, yeah, we got a lot to break down and get into. And let's start with this.
Then Martin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's remind ourselves that while we're here in this special session...
Mr. Trooper, please clear out that balcony over there. Please clear out the balcony. Leader Lamberth. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the remainder of my time.
Leader Lamberth yields the rest of his time. We're voting. We are voting on the bill. All those in favor of House Bill 7003 as amended, vote aye when the bell rings. Those opposed, vote no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote. Yeah.
Aye, 64, 25 nays, 3 present, not voting.
House Bill 7003, having received the Constitutional majority, I hereby declare it passed without objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled. Leader Lamberth, you're recognized.
I mean, we knew this was going to happen, right? Especially after what we saw go down in Virginia, where they wanted to redraw the maps 10-1. I mean, at that point, it was pretty much like, okay, this is where it's going. This is where it's going to go. And so now you have red states looking to redraw maps. And you got Tennessee, you got Florida, you got Alabama coming up. You got states who have these racially drawn maps who are now going to look to remove them. And so now Democrats are all in their feelings. And of course, we know that they're going to throw all of the racist excuses, artillery that they have in their arsenal. I mean, you're going to see the gauntlet about how this is all about black people's voices being silenced and how Trump is a racist and how they're taking us back to Jim Crow. I mean, it's going to be the gauntlet, ladies and gentlemen. And so let's get into this, because here you have one of those Democrats explaining how they should be able to keep their racially drawn maps and have proper representation, which we're going to get into that part because that's laughable. But check this out.
These maps are racist tools of white supremacy at the behest of the most powerful white supremacist in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. Memphis is the most beautiful place on the planet. It's the place that raised me, my brothers, my parents, my grandmothers, and where my ancestors' bones rest. And what you are doing today is eviscerating the only black majority congressional district in our state because we are majority black. We are here because this Republican Party has to seek to steal elections and seats, because the president and the party have refused to address the pain, the suffering, and the struggling of everyday Tennesseans. This is about attacking, targeting, and cracking District 9 into pieces for more political and racial dominance and white supremacy in the state of Tennessee. And we need to realize that the Calais decision that you all are basing your decisions off of, that gutted the Voting Rights Act, that Voting Rights Act was paid in blood. It was not just a parchment of paper signed into law. It was paid in blood on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. paid in blood by Medgar Evers, paid in blood by Fannie Lou Hamer.
All right. Okay. I think I showed you guys enough of Dr. Malcolm X King over there, who's gone all in on the whole cosplay pro-black imagery over there. All right. And so now you got this same guy you just heard right there going on. And here he is. He's speaking to a state trooper. And just listen to how he decides to communicate how he's feeling. Take a listen.
Boy! Yeah, let Pearson go. Let Pearson. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Ted. You stupid mother.
Imagine if that was in any way reversed, where you had that white officer saying boy to him. I mean, it'd be breaking news on CNN at this point. Around the clock coverage about how you had a white officer calling a black elected official boy, cursing him out. You see, what I can't stand is fake tough guys and race hustlers. And sorry, but this guy is giving me both of those vibes. I'm getting heavily from this guy right here. But take a listen, because here he is on the steps talking like he's Dr. Malcolm X King. Check it out.
This is what white supremacy does. This is it trying to force us to capitulate.
Yeah.
And I appreciate y'all not capitulating. And I'm going to take the votes. I'm going to speak up and speak out. But this is the problem with our democracy. This is the problem when white supremacy rules and governs and guides instead of democracy. Come on. Where are you going? Where the car?
We're going into the van.
We're going into a van right now.
Yeah. So you heard that. And listen, I don't want to pick on this guy, but listen, this is the same guy right here. Same guy. Check this out. This is the same guy. I want you to look at this.
Justin J. Pearson, and I'm running for president of BSG. There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year. One has to do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this by partnering with organizations from the Bowdoin Democrats to the Bowdoin Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative, in order that we can reach a point of sort of the radical middle.
Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes.
Yeah, so you heard that. I'm sure probably when this guy started out, he had some good intentions in mind, right? Probably thought he was going to make a real big difference, wanted to talk to people on both sides of the aisle, all that kind of stuff. You heard him in the video. Somewhere along the way, he figured out doing the whole race hustle, cosplaying as the pro-black. That was far more lucrative, far more beneficial to his political career. And I mean, hey, this is what we end up with. But let's go ahead and continue now. But let's go ahead and get into this next clip where liberals are enraged at Republican states pushing to redistrict, as the Tennessee House just passed a new districting map, chopping up the one Democratic district. The chair of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee says that these actions are leading to a modern day Jim Crow era. I said that this is where it was going to be headed as far as the hyperbole, as far as the language, the vocabulary they were going to use in order to create as much drama around this as possible. And so take a listen.
Do you feel it's a fair characterization or hyperbole when some Democratic politicians argue the U.S. is in a second Jim Crow era?
Well, I think we're potentially on the verge of that. If you take away the tools that erased Jim Crow, and chief among them being the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and you see what legislatures are racing to do in Louisiana, in Tennessee, in Alabama, you see the beginnings, the potential beginnings of, if not a Jim Crow era as we have known it, a modern Jim Crow era, where African Americans, Hispanics don't have the ability to fully express themselves when it comes to their political power. And that's really something that worries me. But again, I emphasize, if partisan gerrymandering is something that is going to be accepted by this Supreme Court, if that is the thing to say, well, it's not racial gerrymandering, it's only partisan gerrymandering, that affects white people in this country as well. It takes power away from all Americans and something that needs to be stopped.
Yeah, so you heard that. Here's the lie that Democrats want you to accept, that black people cannot be represented unless Democrats draw a district where black voters are packed into one area. Why is that even a standard? Since when does a politician only represent you if they look like you, or if your district is racially engineered to guarantee one party wins? Democrats want to be able to carve up the map by race and then hide behind civil rights language when what they're really protecting is political power. Let's be real. When Democrats say majority black district, what they really mean is safe Democrat district. They're not worried about protecting black voters, not even the black representatives who are there. They're worried about protecting their seats, and they're using black voters as an excuse. But you know what? Let's hear from MS Now and see how they reacted to this. Check it out.
How can a congressional representative effectively speak to the needs of an urban center like Memphis, as well as a smaller farm town 200 miles away? So it's just one of the many concerns that Senate Democrats and people here have expressed to me. I want to play you portions of my conversations actually now with the Senate Democrats who are currently in that chamber speaking. And I want you to hear why one of them told me she thinks this vote today will be the most important Republican chair will make. Take a listen.
This is the most important vote we will ever take. It's the most important vote that the Republicans will ever take. We know where we stand. We stand on the right side of history. This is about race and diluting the representation of blacks and brown people in Memphis, Tennessee.
This is serious. This is gravely serious for people. People fought, died, were tortured for the right to vote. And so for the world needs to be watching this, because what is happening today will happen to the rest of the country.
Yeah, so you heard that. The sky is falling. It's the end. We're going back in time. But I want to show you guys something. This is Steve Cohen. This is the person. This is the state rep who has been representing that district, that majority black district, for the past 19 years. And listen, it's not even about the fact that he's not black himself. It's the fact that when you look at what he's done, which is nothing for the district, he's actually bad at his job. And yet you have all the pro-blacks, everyone coming out speaking about how now, because of this redistricting, black voters won't have a voice. They won't have representation. Newsflash. You didn't have representation already long before this ever happened. You voted for a guy constantly for 19 years simply because he's a Democrat. And Democrats know when you group black people together enough that they're going to vote Democrat, no matter who. You don't even have to put a competent politician in place. Just got to be Democrat. But let's go to the last part, give you guys a little bit more on this. Take a listen.
Following breaking news right now coming out of Tennessee, that state has now redrawn its congressional maps and no longer includes what would be considered a majority black district. The rush to chisel out that majority black district comes as the direct result of the Supreme Court decision to severely limit the Voting Rights Act. The conservative majority ruling that states cannot overly rely on race to draw its congressional maps, and Tennessee followed suit. Scripps News senior congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed joins us now. And Nate, they passed this new map despite really some fervent protests there.
That's right, but ultimately Republicans had the support they needed to do this, and they have that critical trifecta in the state of Tennessee. They control the state house, they control the state senate, they control the governor's mansion, and for that reason, they can pretty much do what they want here. There have been those protests. I'm glad you mentioned them. Our partners at Scripps News Nashville have been all over some of those protests in recent days, but the reality was here, they could redraw Tennessee's 9th congressional district because they simply had the support to do so. That district currently represented by Congressman Steve Cohen, a longtime Democrat, someone who's become relatively prominent on Capitol Hill. He's known in part for the vintage automobile that he drives around with a campaign poster. I've driven home next to him before. But the Tennessee State House choosing to take this step in the wake of that Supreme Court decision, which effectively gave these states broad berth to do so, more or less saying that they wouldn't enforce certain parts of the Voting Rights Act, which would, previously have limited their ability to slice up these majority-minority districts. For that reason, Republican state legislatures across the country have been trying to take this opportunity to carve out more Republican-leaning districts, especially in red states where there is the critical trifecta. The State House, State Assembly, in some cases, the State Senate, and the Governor's Mansion, all controlled by Republicans. The goal here, again, to try and give Republicans a bit of a leg up in the midterm elections. Democrats have been trying to fight fire with fire. We saw, of course, the redistricting in Virginia, that 10-to-1 map. Just yesterday, the offices of the Virginia Senate President Pro Tem being raided by the feds, leading to a lot of speculation, with not much evidence about political retribution there. Again, no indication that this redistricting, despite how close we are to the elections, by the way, less than 6 months away, is going away anytime soon. It's already upending elections. Louisiana, for example, they pressed pause on their party primaries to give the lawmakers in Baton Rouge more time to redraw the lines.
And Steve Cohen, by the way, describing himself as a white guy who represents Memphis, Tennessee. But we also talked about that domino effect as because of the Supreme Court decision. Tell me what happens next.
Well, other states are going to be looking into this as well. And, we reported about some of them earlier this week. Mississippi, Louisiana, there's a whole lot of other states. There's also Florida, which has taken some recent moves to draw up some other districts. That kind of was put into motion a bit before the Supreme Court came down with that ruling. But again, there's a real desire here, Del, among Republican governors to try and benefit Republicans as much as possible in the midterm elections. Democrats, it's worth noting, have tried to do this as well in as many states as possible. It almost seems like a bit of a, and pardon my colloquialism here, a race to the bottom in terms of how many state legislatures can carve up as many districts as possible, even in the state of New York. Again, heavily Democratic state, at least on the statewide level. There was Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, sending a delegation from D.C. to try and meet with the state Senate President Pro Tem and state officials there, including Governor Kathy Hochul, to see if Democrats could redraw the lines to favor themselves in that state. Something they've tried before, by the way, which has been blocked in the courts. Obviously, a lot of questions about whether the courts intervene this time, but clearly a lot of Republicans in state legislatures and Republican governors kind of taking what the Supreme Court said last week as more of a green light than a yellow light in terms of what they could do to carve up these districts.
Yeah, so there you have that. Listen, this is where we're at right now. Democrats wanted to go down this road, and so now here we are, and it's backfiring on them. Don't tell me about Texas. We already explained Texas. They wanted to redistrict and redraw their maps at the beginning of the decade. The Biden administration would not allow them. Trump got in office and then finally allowed them to do so. And so this whole argument that Texas started it and did a mid-decade redistricting, it loves to leave out that one key element of how the Biden administration blocked Texas actually from going through with their redrawing of their map when they wanted to after they did their census. So here we are right now. California, they decided that they wanted to go ahead and redraw their maps. They did it. Virginia, they decided that they wanted to redraw their maps. They did it, but now it got blocked. You got a judge blocking it. We're going to see what actually comes from that. Florida, they're getting things going. Tennessee, we see what's happening here. And I'm sure that we're going to continue to see specifically the southern states who have a lot of space or can do it. They will do it. And I'm sure Democrat states are going to go ahead and do the same thing also. And so we're going to see where this goes. Ultimately, we're going to see where this goes. And if it gets to the point where, hey, you can't have any representation as far as reps, if you're in a blue state, which that exists now, when you talk about the Northeast especially, then, I don't know how you can throw a bit of a tantrum and want to march and invade your state capital like they're doing in Tennessee because now you don't got no representation. Funny how Democrats enjoy having a one-sided type of mentality when it comes to what they want versus, what they want to give up. But those are my thoughts in the update. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. I appreciate when you guys chime in. Don't forget, you enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up. And for more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.